This is the story of how this drawing behind me became a live concert at the Florence Biennale in October 2015. It's a long and complicated story, but I will touch on the highlights to get us all up to speed. Me going into sound is something that started back in 2009 at the Venice Biennale, where I saw a concert that started getting my mind thinking about geometry, drawing, architecture, and sound. I started exploring this idea of making the visual into something audible. And this had to be in 2010 when I was in Italy. I approached the Florence Biennale organization with this idea of doing something with sound. They were very positive. They encouraged me. So I kept going with it. I was back in Europe in 2013 for a residency in London, where I really started exploring sound through drawings and through photography. And it was right after the Florence Biennale in 2013 that I sent the proposal to them for 2015. I figured 2 years, that would give me enough time to do something, enough time for them to say yes, enough time to bring my ideas together and make something happen. I gave them the proposal. It was December 2013, and basically heard nothing for a very long time. I knew in 2014 I was going to be going to China for a residency. Part of what I was going to do was going to be some sound pieces. I just didn't know how to go about it. So, in China, I have the proposal for Florence on my mind, and I have the reality of China in front of me. These study guidebooks. This one is the Hanyu Pinyin Ben. It's a study book for students to learn calligraphy. So I thought, this is perfect. I need a grid, I can draw on it. This is the perfect solution for making a sound piece. So I took the book apart, taped it together, and with ink and a chopstick, I did this drawing. There's 8 lines. In the back of my mind for Florence, I'm thinking strings, something easy that the musicians can move their instruments, a string octet. This could be perfect. So that's where this whole thing started, with this drawing, analyzing the movement on the grid, and then putting that onto sheet music. Now, my sheet music is great for me as an architect and to see how it all works. I went down to Mexico, Merida in Yucatan, and I work with an audio engineer down there. My drawings are perfect for working with an engineer because they're mathematical. Everything is broken down to seconds and fractions of seconds. And in January and February of 2015, we recorded the octet. I played it. We went back and did all the mathematical calculations to make it perfect. But that's just a computer recording. It's not anything perfect. A live performance is perfect. So through the computer recording, we could generate sheet music. There's computer programs for that. So we did that. Once the music was complete, I finally got the okay, a year later, to have the piece performed at the Florence Biennale in 2015. This was great news. I then had to find musicians. So I contacted everybody I knew in Italy, and one friend got back to me very quickly and said he knew of musicians. He connected me with a violist from the Scuola di Musica di Fiesole, just outside of Florence, and we started a dialogue about this music, about the Biennale, about organizing a string octet. It all came together, and I couldn't have been happier or more fortunate. So in May of 2015, I flew to Italy with the sheet music, met the octet, and started rehearsals. The first rehearsal, they were basically just reading the sheet music. They played it almost perfectly. I was beyond elated. So that gave us plenty of time for the musicians to learn the music and be prepared for October. What happened after was interesting. The more I thought about the octet being played, the octet is basically a 15-20 minute piece. It seemed a little short for a big biennale like this. So I contacted some other people, looked through friends on Facebook, and found a band that I thought would be really fun to have an improvisation with. Adam Kills Eve, and we met in September, a few weeks before the Biennale in October. They were nervous, a little hesitant about wanting to do an improvisation with a classical string octet. But I kind of helped them along, made the waves a little calm, and they were in. They wanted to do it. So now I had the classical octet being played and then an improv, which would be about 45 minutes long, which would be perfect for an exhibition of this scale. To recap, this is an idea that started in Italy many years ago. Drawing was done in China. Initial recording was done in Mexico. And now the live performance is in Italy. It seems to have come full circle. The actual concert. Yes, I have a big grin on my face because it was one of the most magical moments of my life to be on the stage. The stage at the Biennale had seating for about 200. Things started a little bit late, but the musicians played the octet beautifully. It's so different listening to something done on a computer and then you have living, breathing musicians playing it night and day. The live performance was really magical. And then the improv happened. And improvisation is all about not knowing. You're setting up a series of events and you cross your fingers and hope everything is going to work. It did. The classical musicians were up for working with a band. The band thoroughly pulled together, and I set the stage by keeping a rhythm with some handbells. It was all very diverse, and yet it came together beautifully. The performance lasted for a little over 20 minutes. Musicians got themselves together, they peaked, and then it started to get quiet, and that's when we ended it. And the whole event was elegant and eloquent and great fun. Now we're heading into 2016, and hopefully the sound continues, improvisation continues, and hopefully I'll be back in Italy to work with these musicians again on something new. It's the beginning of something that really excites me, I'm not exactly sure where it's all going to lead, but I think I'm onto something good. So we'll see.